Good evening. Am I audible to all of you? Okay. So you can see I have uploaded an exercise on error correction. Sometimes in XAT, not always, but sometimes they give you questions based on error correction. So we'll try to solve 20 questions today and 20 questions tomorrow. At least we'll get some idea. Even though we have done all these concepts in the previous error correction sessions that we had taken, right? So there are 20 questions here. Wait, let me give you the rights. We will solve 5 questions at a time. Okay, so I want you to solve question number 1 to question number 5, and you let me know when you're done. Now remember, every question has 5 options. These kind of questions where a portion of the sentence is underlined, in these questions always remember that whatever error is going to be there is only going to be there in the underlined portion. You can only change the underlined portion. Okay, if there is no error, if it is good as it is, then you will mark A as the option. Every time option number A will repeat the underlined portion as it is. Okay, options B, C, D, and E, they can change that underlined portion. But if you believe that there is no error, then you will have to mark A as the answer. Please start. It is 9:05 right now. At the most 10 minutes, 9:15, I will start the discussion for question number 1 to question number 5. Please start. Okay, let's check question number 1 to question number 5. Question number 1. Question number 1, what does it tell you? Like ants, termites have an elaborate social structure in which a few individuals reproduce and the rest are serving the colony. Now, if you see over here, there is a problem of comparison. Okay, few individuals means X reproduce and the rest, that means Y. Then I cannot change the verb form to make it parallel because I'm talking about 2 kinds of termites. The first kind reproduces and the second kind serves. I cannot change the verb form. The verb form is not parallel because with the first one I used simple present tense, and with the second one I cannot use the continuous tense. So are serving cannot be right. Okay, are serving cannot be right. Just like few individuals reproduce and the rest serve, we need a word over here, serve. Now how do they serve? How do the rest serve? They serve the colony by, now this is a series. They do 2-3 things. Number 1, tending juveniles. Number 2, gathering food. Number 3, building the nest. And number 4, or they battle intruders. So if you see, then this series, again, there's a problem of parallelism because all of them are not in the ing form. Okay, first, second, third, they are in the ing form, tending, gathering, and building. Fourth one is not in the ing form. Again, there's a parallelism problem. All of them will have to be in the ing form, which means answer for this question, rightly marked by you, is E. Yes, it is E. So there was a problem of verb form. Okay, verb form, comparisons, and parallelism. All 3 tested in one sentence. Anybody who did not understand? Question number 2. Some bat caves, like honeybee hives, have residents that take on different duties, such as, now what are the duties? Number 1, defending the entrance. Number 2, acting as sentinels. And to sound a warning Again, now because we are using defending, acting, so over here we'll have to use and sounding a warning at the approach of danger, and scouting outside the cave, for new food and roosting sites. So yes, answer for this question should be B. No, it should be B. You cannot have two acts. Priyanka, you cannot have two acts because over here, what is the parallel form? What are they doing? Defending, acting, scouting. So over here, we need sounding. We cannot have two sound or two act. We need sounding and sounding a warning at the approach of danger. Yes, answer for this question is B. Again, parallelism error. Then question number 3. If this is clear, then we'll come to question number 3. In question number 3, he says, however much United States voters may agree that there is waste in government and that the government as a whole spends beyond its means, it is difficult to find broad support for a movement toward a minimal state. What do you think? You have marked B, okay? You have marked B. Some people have marked B. Some people have marked C. Now see, you agree that X and that Y. You agree on two things. Okay? See, you agree that X and you agree that Y. If you see over here, it says they agree that this is X and they agree that this is Y. Right? Which means that to make it parallel, I will have to use that. That will have to be there. Without that, this cannot become the answer, which means B, C, and D are gone. B, C, and D are gone because they have done away with the word that. Did you understand what is happening? Okay. Now, coming to number E. Even though number E has the word that, but it entirely changes the meaning of the sentence. There is agreement among United States voters that there is wastage in government and that the government as a whole spends beyond its means. But it is difficult to find. The transition word, the contrary word but is missing. So if I mark E, it will not make sense because the second part, the second clause, the second part of the sentence, it is contradicting the first part. It is contradicting the first part. So to make it contradictory, I'll have to use a transition word, a contrary transition word, and that is not there in E, which means E also is not right. Answer is good as it is. However much United States voters may agree that there is waste in governments and that the government as a whole spends beyond its means, it is difficult to find broad support for a movement toward a minimal state. Okay, so there is no error. Answer is A. However, yes, obviously Satyam. However is a transition word which shows contradiction. Yes, of course. However is always used in contradictory statements. Absolutely. So these two statements are contradictory. So people agree that there is waste in government, but nobody is going to do anything about it. That word but is represented by however. Okay, however or although will also work, despite will also work. All these are all right. However, despite, although, even though, all these are all right. But there are other reasons why B, C, and D cannot be the answer. Yeah, you saw despite, but that is something. I mean, when you are solving error correction questions, you will have to read the question very, very slowly. You should read it very, very slowly. Only when you read it slowly, you will be able to find out minute mistakes. Excuse me. Okay, answer is A. Anybody has any problem? Okay. Coming to question number 4. The voluminous personal papers of Thomas Alva Edison reveal that his inventions typically sprang to life not in a flash of inspiration, but evolved slowly from previous works. Okay, I think over here the spelling is wrong. It should be from and not form. Okay, so what do you think? Is there any problem here? Can you tell me what is the problem? If at all there is a problem. Okay, I'll tell you. Again, see, not X, but Y. Okay, these are always used in conjunction. Not this, but that. Not X, but Y. So this X and Y, they have to be parallel. Not in a flash of inspiration, right? But over here, but after the word but, I have used evolved, which is a verb. Which is a verb. Whereas over here, the verb is used before this word not. So it is not parallel. It is not parallel. I will have to remove this evolved from here. I will have to remove this evolved from here because to make it parallel, it typically, sprang to life not in a flash of inspiration, but either I say that, okay, either I say I remove evolved from here, or if I do not want to remove evolved, then I will have to after the word not. After the word not, I will have to use a verb. Only then after the word but I can use a verb. So what should be the answer? I've already told you what should be the answer. After the word not, we have to use a verb to make it parallel. After the word but, we have to use a verb to make it parallel. Answer for this question should be C. Answer for this question should be C. The voluminous personal papers of Thomas Alva Edison reveal that his inventions typically did not spring, over here verb. It did not spring in to life in a flash of inspiration, but evolved verb. Not verb, but verb. Parallel. Okay, did you understand why C is the answer? So whatever comes after not and not X but Y, X and Y both have to be parallel. That is why answer for this question is C. Anybody has any doubt here? Number 5. Question number 5. Hundreds of species of fish generate and discharge electric currents in bursts or as steady electric fields around their bodies, using their power either to find and attack prey, to defend themselves, or also for communicating and navigating. The moment he has used the word either, you know it is wrong, because when you use the word either, it is always for two things, either X or Y. Okay, X and Y both have to be parallel. But problem is that after the word either, he has used three things: either to find and attack, number two to defend themselves, or number three for communicating and navigating. So this word either cannot make sense. Okay, it cannot make sense. We will have to remove the word either, because either cannot be used with more than two things, right? So in order to make it parallel, what will we do? So these species, these fish, they discharge electric currents. Okay, they discharge electric currents. These fishes, they are using their power to do three things. to find and attack prey, to defend themselves, or to communicate and navigate. All of them start with to. It is parallel. All of them start with to. It is parallel. So they use their power to do three things: to find and attack prey. Number two, to defend themselves, and number three, to communicate and navigate. That is why answer for this question is E. Did you understand? Okay. Then let's move to the next five. Question 6 to 10. Please take a look. 6 to 10 and let me know when you're done. Okay, I believe everybody is through. So let's take a look at question number 6. Question number 6. A Labor Department study states that the numbers of women employed outside the home grew by more than a 35% increase in the past decade and accounted for more than 62% of the total growth in the civilian workforce. Now there are two problems here. There are two problems here. Numbers. Okay. Numbers. You can use numbers only when you want to talk about a large quantity. Okay. You can use it, but only when you want to talk about large quantity. For example, the fans turned up in huge numbers. So numbers will be right, but only when you are using it for a large quantity without specifying the quantity, right? Over here, you are talking about specific quantity. That specific quantity is women who are employed outside the home. Because it is a specific quantity, like I cannot use numbers. I will have to use the number. The number of women employed outside the home grew by more than a 35% increase. Now, when I'm already using grew, why do I need to use the word increase? It is redundant. Either I use increase or I use grew. We cannot use both because both mean the same. Okay. So which means that we'll have to make a choice. Numbers of all those options that have numbers of will automatically go. We'll have to use the word number. So we have option D and E, and if we check D and E, then what happens is that number D is a better one. Okay, because in number E is saying the number of women employed outside the home was raised by more than a 35% increase. Again, it is redundant. If I'm already using raised, then why do I need to use the word increased? If I'm already using increase, why do I need to use the word raised? So that is why answer for this question should be D. Okay. Than a 35 what? You don't want a hyphen? Than 35%. Than 35%, yes. Than a 35%. There was a 35% increase, you can say that. There was a 35% increase, you can say that. But you can't say it was raised by more than a 35%. Absolutely. That is also wrong in number E. Okay. Number 7. Question number 7. From the earliest days of the tribe, kinship determined the way in which the Ojibwa society organized its labor, provided access to its resources, and defined rights and obligations involved in the distribution and consumption of those resources. So the kinship determined what? How the society organized, number 1, provided, number 2, and defined, number 3. So the society did two things: organized labor, provided access, and defined rights, which means all these are parallel. It is absolutely right. Answer is A. Answer is A. There's nothing wrong here. Question number 8. If this is clear, let's move to question number 8. Question number 8. As the cost of wireless service has steadily dropped over the last year, and as mobile phones have become increasingly common, many people are finding that they can avoid toll charges on their home phones. Using their home mobile phones for making long distance calls at night or on weekends, at a time which many wireless companies provide unlimited airtime for a small monthly fee. Now, what are the errors? One, there is a logical predication error. Modification error is there. It seems it seems that you are not using the phones. It seems that the home phones, they are using the mobile phones. It is the person who is using the mobile phones and not the home phones. The way it is written, it seems that the home phones using the mobile phones for making long distance calls. So there is a modification error. Okay? Misplaced modifier. Misplaced modifier. It seems that the home phones are using the mobile phones. After that, there's another problem over here which says you can do all this either at night or on weekends at a time which which many wireless companies provide unlimited airtime. At a time which thing? At a time when we are talking about time, it is when. Okay, we cannot say which. We will have to use when for time. So this means that our answer should be number C. Yes, answer is number C. Absolutely. On their home phones by using their mobile phones to make long distance calls at night or on weekends. Weekends when many wireless companies provide unlimited airtime for a small monthly fee. Absolutely, number C is right. I think all of you marked C. Question number 9. Number 9. Delighted by the reported earnings for the first quarter of the fiscal year, it was decided by the company manager to give her staff a raise. Again, modified error. Who was delighted by the reported earnings from the first quarter of the fiscal year? Who was delighted? The company manager was delighted, isn't it? So the first part of the sentence, which is a modifier, immediately after the modifier, you have the word it. Now, when I read it, it seems to me that it is somebody who was delighted by the reported earnings for the first quarter of the fiscal year. Again, misplaced modifier. The problem is that of misplaced modifier. Who was delighted? Okay, it is either misplaced modifier. In fact, it can be a dangling modifier also. It is a dangling modifier also because the person who is delighted is not mentioned here. So the person who is delighted is actually the company manager and not the staff. That is why answer is C. No, not B. Was the decision. B, Priyanka, was the decision delighted? Or was the company manager delighted? It is the company manager who must be delighted, isn't it? How can the decision be delighted? Ask yourself, who was delighted? Who was delighted by the earnings for the first quarter of the fiscal year? That person has to be mentioned. So who is delighted? The company manager. Exactly. That is why C is the answer for question number 9. Why not E? Delighted by reported earnings for the first quarter of the fiscal year. Now, question is, Satyam, who was delighted? Was a raise delighted? Was a raise delighted or was a person delighted? A raise cannot be delighted. Okay, the first part of the sentence, the first part of the sentence is a modifier. You understand what's a modifier? Modifier is extra information about somebody, extra information about somebody or something. Okay, so the rule of modifier is that that extra information which you have will have to be placed as close as possible to that person or that thing which it relates to. So this information that you are delighted by the reported earnings for the first quarter of the fiscal year, this information pertains to the company manager. So immediately after this information, I'll have to write company manager. Otherwise, it will seem that there is something called it, there is something called a raise, which was delighted by the earnings, which is not possible, which is not logically possible. Okay? We have discussed all this in error correction session. So if you have access to the videos, you can go through them. We have discussed all this. Number 10, the rising of costs of data processing operations at many financial institutions has created a growing opportunity, for independent companies to provide these services more efficiently and at lower cost. What do you think? Okay, some of you have marked B, rising costs. Okay, rising costs, and some of you have marked number C, the rising cost. So over here, if you mark the rising cost, you think it is singular. That is why you are seeing rising cost. If you mark rising cost, you think it is plural. Now the question is, excuse me, is it singular or is it plural? How will we come to know? Because this particular sentence tests you on subject-verb agreement. It tests you on subject-verb agreement. Okay, Arvind, you are saying it is plural. Okay, it is plural. How do you come to know? As for operations, okay. No, the rising of cost of data processing operations at many financial institutions. This is a modifier. This is a modifier. Okay, this is a modifier, and I have told you that whenever you want to find out what is the subject and what is the verb, always eliminate the modifier. Actually, you see the verb over here used. The verb is has, which is singular. If the verb is singular and it is not underlined, it is not underlined means this is right. If this is right, that means if the verb is singular, it means that your subject also has to be singular. You will have to use a singular subject here. Only then there's going to be subject-verb agreement. So answer cannot be B. Answer is C. The rising cost. Blah, 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 blah. The rising cost has created. The rising cost के बाद जो कुछ भी आता है, everything that comes after the rising cost, that comes after the word cost and before the word has, all of that is extra information. All of that is modifier, which we can ignore to find out whether our subject and verbs agree or not. The rising cost, because it is singular cost, Damini. That is why the rising cost. It is a specific cost. That is why I'm saying the rising cost. Okay, rising costs. The moment you say cost, that means it is plural. Whereas the verb that we have used in the sentence is singular, which means this cost also has to be singular. I'm talking about my subject is singular. So how can I use the word cost? I'll have to use cost. Answer is C. Okay, did you understand? Again, if you want more information about subject-verb agreements, you can go through the videos of subject-verb agreement session that we had. We talked about it in detail. In fact, it was a very lengthy session, and we talked about different situations in detail with examples. So if you want, you can go through the videos. Right. When did we have this session? No, this was before that. This was even before CAT. It was part of the regular session, part of the regular MBA preparation session. We had error correction sessions. There were around 10, 12 sessions. Okay, you join after CAT. If you have access to the videos, if you have access to the previous videos, then you can go through it. Okay. So let's come to the next five. Question number 11 to question number 15. 11 to 15, please take a look, and when you are done, please let me know. Are we all through? Should we start the discussion? Yes? Okay. Right. Question number 11. Let's take a look at question number 11. Native to South America. When peanuts were introduced to Africa. So now, when peanuts were introduced to Africa is a time. It is talking about a time. Okay. How can time be native to South America? Native to South America is a modifier. This modifier relates not to the time when peanuts were introduced to Africa, but to peanuts. Okay. So what is native to South America? Not the time when peanuts were introduced to Africa, but the peanuts themselves, right? So which means that the sentence in its correct in the present form is wrong. Because what is native to South America? It is peanuts. Now peanuts, two things happened with the peanuts. One, they were introduced to Africa by Portuguese explorers, and second, they were quickly adopted into Africa's agriculture. Why were they quickly adopted? Probably because they were very similar to the Bambara groundnut, which is a popular indigenous plant. Which means answer for this question should be C. Yes, no, not D, C. What is native to South America? Peanuts. Now, two things happened to peanuts. Peanuts were introduced and peanuts were introduced and were quickly adopted into Africa's culture. Why they were adopted? Probably because they, probably because they, who are they? The peanuts. Okay, they were so similar. Okay, you thought that there is going to be a comma. Comma where? Before peanuts, there is a comma. Native to South America, comma. That is extra information about peanuts. No, no, why? Why do we need, why do we want to separate peanuts? What do you want to say about peanuts? The main thing that you want to say about peanuts is that peanuts were introduced and they were quickly adopted. So why do you want to separate it? We usually separate things with a comma only when we want to pause, or we are saying something very different. Now, rather than talking about when they were introduced and when they were adopted, the first part is giving us extra information about the peanuts, that peanuts were native to South America. That is why after this modifier, native to South America, there is a comma. Which were introduced where? Native to South America, peanuts which were introduced to Africa after peanuts. Okay. If you write which, okay, if you write which, then something will be missing, Priyanka. Let us read it like this. Native to South America, peanuts which were introduced to Africa by Portuguese explorers early in the 16th century and were quickly adopted into Africa's agriculture, comma, probably because they were so similar to the Bambara groundnut, comma, a popular indigenous plant. After that, it is not a complete thought. You did not complete the thought. Okay. Okay. So answer for this question is going to be C, 11. Did you understand why? Again, modifier. The problem is that of modifier over here. The modifier is misplaced. It is not the time that is native to South America. Not the time when peanuts were introduced to Africa, that is not native to South America. It is the peanuts themselves that are native to South America. So again, modification error. Number 13, sorry, 12. Question number 12. Question number 12. William H. Johnson's artistic debt to Scandinavia is evident in paintings that range from sensitive portraits of citizens in his wife's Danish home, Kerteminde, and range from X to Y. Okay, so and is wrong. Range from X. So what is the parallel structure? Something will range from X to Y. So it will range from X. All this is X to this has to be to Y. All this is Y. What is Y? Awe-inspiring views of fjords and mountain peaks in the western and northern regions of Norway. So range from X to Y. I think its answer should be B. Answer should be B. It cannot be D. It cannot be E. Something ranges from X to Y. Range के साथ तो हमेशा 2 आता है ना. Range from X to Y. It cannot be range from X with Y. We cannot have the word with. Again, we cannot. I told you, Satyam, why we cannot have D, because that is not the grammatical construction. Just like you have not only X but also Y. This is the construction. Not only, after using not only, you have to use but also. When you use neither, you have to use nor. Neither X nor Y. Either X or Y. Isn't it? This is the construction. Either X or Y. Similarly, whenever you are using the word range, it ranges from X to Y. It cannot range from X with Y. It cannot range from X in addition to Y. These are wrong. These are wrong grammatical constructions. Answer is B. Okay? Okay. So I think this one was simple. 13. Question number 13. Growing competitive pressures may be encouraging auditors to bend the rules in favor of clients. Semicolon. That's a semicolon? Yeah. It's a colon or a semicolon? It's a semicolon. Okay. It's a semicolon. Okay. Right. It's a semicolon. Now let's see. What did he say? Growing competitive pressures may be encouraging auditors to bend the rules in favor of clients. Semicolon. Okay. Auditors may, for instance, allow a questionable loan to remain on the books in order to maintain a bank's profits on paper. Okay. When do we use a semicolon? What is the difference between a colon and a semicolon? We use a semicolon when the first part, the part before the semicolon and the part after the semicolon, both of them have to be complete sentences. Okay? They have to be complete sentences. Otherwise, it is wrong. Otherwise, if you have used semicolon, then it is wrong. So let's check. Are both the parts complete? I mean, in technical terminology, these are called independent clauses. Okay? Both of them have to be independent. That means they can stand alone as sentences, both of them. So if I just read from here, auditors may, for instance, allow a questionable loan to remain on the books in order to maintain a bank's profits on paper. This is all right. It makes sense. And if I read the first part over here, what does it say? The first part is saying growing competitive pressures may be encouraging auditors to bend the rules in favor of clients. This also will stand alone as a sentence. So if I make them stand alone as sentences, then both of these will can stand alone as sentences. Both of them can stand alone. Okay, they are complete. Then question is, why do we use a semicolon? If both of them are complete sentences, why do we use the semicolon? We use the semicolon when we want to say something but in two different ways. So X and Y, they will say the same thing but in two different ways, and they both would be complete sentences. They would be independent clauses. Okay, so I think there is no error. Answer is A. There is no error over here. Answer is A. The difference between a semicolon and a colon. The difference between semicolon and a colon is that in a colon, whatever comes first, it has to be complete. It has to be a complete sentence, and whatever comes after, it is called a dependent clause. Okay, it is called a dependent clause, which means it will be incomplete. It will be an incomplete sentence. It cannot stand alone as a sentence. And this one is going to be independent. The first part is going to be, sorry, just a minute. Okay. The first part is going to be independent clause. Did you get this? The second part is going to be dependent clause. It is like this. This is the difference. This is the difference between a colon and a semicolon. So now question is, why do we use a colon? Why do we use a colon? We generally use a colon. Okay, we generally use a colon when we want to give examples, when there is a list that we want to talk about. For example, I love many kinds of music. Okay, I love many kinds of music. Then, for example, rock, pop, and jazz, or classical. Now, see, I love many kinds of music. Then there's a colon there. Classical, rock, pop, and jazz. Now, if I just take this and I try to form a complete sentence, will this make sense? Classical, rock, pop, and jazz? No, it is incomplete. It cannot stand alone as a sentence, right? So this is incomplete, whereas the first part is complete. I love many kinds of music. If I take this as a standalone sentence, this will make sense, right? So this is how you use colon. Okay. Now another thing is that whether you have to use colon or whether you have to use semicolon, if there is a confusion in your mind, then a very good thing for you to do is, what you can do, just substitute this colon with the word namely. If instead of this colon, you can use the word namely, that means you have to use a colon. Otherwise, you have to use a semicolon. So I love many kinds of music, namely classical, rock, pop, and jazz. So instead of the word namely, I can use a colon. Okay, pop and rock being one of them. Nikita, if you want to say pop and rock being one of them, then you cannot use a colon. I love many kinds of music, comma, pop and rock being one of them. How can you say pop and rock? Both cannot be one of them. Pop and rock being two of them. Yes, you will have to use a comma. I love many kinds of music, comma, pop and rock being two of them. Okay. So did you understand the difference between colon and semicolon? Semicolon. Semicolon is like a full stop. Remember, semicolon is like a period. It is like a full stop. Okay. So instead of using a full stop, what did you do? You used a semicolon. Why did you use a semicolon? Because when you look at the two sentences, they both were saying the same thing but in two different ways. They're saying the same thing but in two different ways. So just to amalgamate the thoughts, you put them into one sentence and you separate them with the help of a semicolon. Okay, that is what a semicolon does. Whereas the colon is always used when you want to give examples, when you want to mention lists. Okay, so for example, I can say, I have many things to do, colon, drive to the bank, comma, pick up my kids, comma, and wash the dishes. So I have many things to do, colon. What are the things to do? Number one, number two, number three, like this. I forgot what I just said. I mean, what were the things I had to do? So I forgot. So I have to do many things, colon. Then what are the things that you have to do? You will have to mention, and they have to be parallel. Whatever you mention, that also has to be parallel. Remember, all these things have to be parallel. You cannot say driving. Over here, I have many things to do. Driving, comma, to wash, comma, going. No, all of them. This list will have to be parallel. All of them have to be in the same form. Is this clear for all of you? The difference between colon and semicolon? Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. So let's go back. Which means that number A, that means as it is absolutely right. There's nothing wrong. Now, coming to question number 14, if this is clear, let's come to question number 14. Question number 14, the themes that Rita Dove explores in her poetry is universal, are universal, because subject is themes. The themes are universal. So immediately we know A and B gone. They are universal. What do? Encompassing much of the human condition while occasionally dealing. All of them have to be in the ing form, encompassing and dealing. Okay, so encompassing and dealing. I think these should be the answer. The themes that Rita Dove explores in her poetry are universal. How are they? Encompassing much of the human condition while occasionally dealing with racial issues. Okay, so both the verbs are parallel over here in the ing form. Absolutely right. Number D is the answer for question number 14. Anybody has any problem? Number 15. Question number 15. It is well known in the supermarket industry that how items are placed on shelves and okay, it has to be parallel. There are two things. How items are placed on shelves and how again I'll have to use how. So A, B, C immediately gone. And how frequently is the inventory turned over? How frequently is the inventory turned over? Okay, this is wrong. How frequently the inventory turns over can be crucial to profits. I think E is the answer, not D. So two things are crucial. Two things are crucial. Two things are crucial in a supermarket. How items are placed on shelves and how frequently the inventory turns over. Yeah, okay, this is right. E is right. And how frequently is the inventory. Why do we need to use the word is? How frequently the inventory, how frequently is the inventory turned over are often crucial to profits. What will be the meaning of this? It is well known in the supermarket industry that how items are placed on shelves and how frequently is the inventory turned over, okay, are often crucial to profits. Hmm. Okay. Uh, Number D, how frequently is the inventory turned over? How items are placed on shelves and how frequently is the inventory turned over? Or how frequently the inventory turns over? I think E is better one. How frequently the inventory? How frequently the inventory? What turns over? The inventory. Okay, what turns over? The inventory. How frequently the inventory turns over? I think this one is better. E is a better one. E is a better one, not D. Yes, I'll go with E, not D. I will go with E. Yeah, I still believe number D is not right. How frequently is the inventory turned over? How frequently the inventory turns over? This one is more grammatically correct. How frequently the inventory turns over? I think number E is the answer, not D. No, D is not right. All of you mark D, but I think E is right for this question. Okay. How frequently the inventory is turned over? Yes, that would have been right, Damini. How frequently the inventory is turned over? That would have been right. Yes. How frequently the how frequently is the inventory turned over is wrong. Okay. Yeah, there's another problem, the word often. Yes. Can be crucial. It can be crucial. When I say they are often crucial, that means over here there is less possibility. And can be crucial means there is more possibility. Yeah, that is another problem with the word. Often also is the wrong word over here. Items are placed. Items are placed. How items are placed. So if I look at it from the angle of parallelism, how product verb. This is the product and this is the verb. How product are placed. How product is inventory and the verb. The verb is turns over. Verb. Okay. But if I look at number D, that even before the product, I have used another verb. What is the need for this? No, I don't think D is right. E should be the answer for question number 15. E. I'll go with E. Okay. Is this clear? Should we move to the next 5? Number 16 to 20. Yeah, okay. Okay, take a look. 16 to 20 and let me know when you're done. Okay, if everybody is through, then let's check question 16 to 20. Number 16, iguanas have been an important food source in Latin America since prehistoric times, and it is still prized as a game animal. The question is, because we're talking about iguanas, which is plural, we cannot use singular. It is. Iguanas have to be they, and they are still prized as game animals. Okay, which means answer is going to be C. They are still prized as game animals by the campesinos. Who are the campesinos? It is the campesinos who typically cook the meat in a heavily spiced stew. Okay, so in all probability, campesinos are those people who have gone camping. Okay, so answer is C for question number 16. Everybody has marked C. Very good. Number 17, this one also was easy. Travelers to Mars would have to endure low levels of gravity for long periods of time, avoid large doses of radiation. So, what would the travelers have to do? Number one, endure. Number two, avoid. Number three, contend. Contend with the chemically reactive Martian soil, and perhaps even this now is not parallel. So the travelers to Mars would have to do four things. Number one, endure. Number two, avoid. Number three, contend. And number four, ward off. Okay. So and they would have to ward off. Now over here, we'll have to use and even ward off. Right. So I think answer should be C. Yes. They would have to contend with the chemically reactive Martian soil and perhaps even ward off contamination by Martian life forms. Yes, endure, avoid, contend, ward off. Having to is not required. Number C is the answer, rightly marked by all of you. Satyam, number E cannot be right because I cannot change the verb form. I cannot make it ing. If you want to use the continuous form of the verb, all the four verbs should be in the present participle, ing form. Okay. So answer for question number 17 is going to be C. Question number 18. Except for a concert performance that the composer himself staged in 1911. Okay. Scott Joplin's ragtime opera Simonisha was not produced until 1972, 61 years after its completion. So I think there is nothing wrong here. Everything is right, except for a performance which that the composer himself staged. His other performances were not produced. I think everything is right. Answer should be A. There's no error here. Explain B as well. Okay. Except for a concert performance with the composer himself staging it. Except for a concert performance with the composer himself staging it in 1911, Scott Joplin's ragtime opera Tremonisha was not produced. कैसे हो सकता है फिर? How can you use the past, simple past produced? Okay. Over here you have used staged. So over here you have not produced. So if you are using staging, then you will have to use producing. Both will have to be parallel. That is why B is not right. right? Question number 18, answer is A, there is no error. Question number 19, Chinese, the most ancient of living writing systems, consists of tens of thousands of ideographic characters. Now, each character a miniature calligraphic composition. Each character में singular हो गया. It is a miniature calligraphic composition, correct, singular. Inside its singular, inside its own square frame. Everything is all right. Everything is all right. Answer is A. Each character becomes singular. Each character is a miniature calligraphic composition. Again, it is correct. This is also singular. And it is inside its. Its is singular. Everything is right. Number A is the answer for question number 19. There's nothing wrong. Did you understand? Anybody has any other doubt, please ask. Question number 20. Declining values for farm equipment and land. Okay. The collateral against which farmers borrow to get through the harvest season is going to force. Wrong. Is to हो ही नहीं सकता. It is declining values. It is plural. If this is plural, then we'll have to have R, which means A, B, C gone. A, B, C gone. Okay. We will have to have R. Declining values for farm equipment and land. Okay. Okay. Number D, you have marked number D. The declining values for farm equipment and land, which farmers use as collateral. Okay. What do they do with this? To borrow against to get through the harvest season. Okay. Are going to force many lenders. No, something is wrong here. Declining values for farm equipment and land. Okay. It is the land which farmers use as a collateral. Now, I've told you that when we use the word which, no, I don't think number D is right. E is the answer. E is the answer. I've told you that when we use the word which, there has to be a comma before which, and whatever object is over here, immediately before the comma, this which will explain about this object. Which means that over here it is land. Everything is about land. It is the land that is the collateral against which farmers borrow to get through the harvest season. Is it just the land or it is a farm equipment as well? It's both. The farmers, as collateral, they provide both the land as well as farm equipment. Whereas if in the present form I use which, then it seems that it is only the land which is provided. No, number D is not right. Answer should be E. Declining values for farm equipment and land. Now they both are the collateral against which farmers borrow to get through the harvest season. R. Why they're using R? Because it is declining values. The declining values are going to force many lenders to tighten or deny credit this spring. Answer should be E and not D. Did you understand why? Okay. Plus another problem is which farmer use as collateral to borrow against. Okay. Okay. I thought it was redundant also. They use as collateral to borrow against. So when you use that collateral, it means you borrow against. The same problem is not in number E because it is the collateral against which you borrow. It's not redundant. Yeah, in this way also E is right. I think answer for this question is E and not D. Did you understand? I think we have discussed this which rule. I've told you that before the word which, if there's a comma, that means it will talk about the object immediately before the comma. Okay. Uh, Otherwise, its usage is wrong. So over here we have land, and after land there's the comma, and then if I use which, that means which is only talking about the land. It'll be wrong because over here we have both farm equipment and land. And I must have also told you that this rule is only and only broken when after this there is a before which there is a preposition. If there is a preposition before which, then you don't need a comma, and then this word which will not talk about the object immediately preceding it. Otherwise, in all the other cases, it is going to be wrong if this rule is not followed. So before which there is no preposition, there is a noun there, land. That is why number D is wrong. Did you understand why D is wrong and E is right? Is this clear? People who have attended error correction sessions, I think you probably remember we talked about which and that. These two words, these two pronouns, which and that. What is the difference? In detail, we discussed this. Okay. And people who have not taken that session, you can go through. There are 6 to 8 videos. You can quickly go through those videos. It'll give you a good idea. Right. That's it for today. Okay. If there is any query you have, any question, please ask. We will meet again tomorrow, same time. Okay. We will meet again tomorrow, same time. And again, we will solve 20 questions. Satyam, you're saying I got only 10 correct out of 20 since I don't know the basics. Please tell the topics I should review. Just go to the video error correction videos one by one. One by one, everything is there. Modifiers, subject-verb agreement, pronoun errors, verb tenses, parallelism comparison. You don't have those videos. You don't have those videos. If you don't have those videos, then I'll just ask Nitin sir to give you access for a few days. Okay? Okay. Nikita, you did not understand E. You did not understand why answer is E. Okay. Did you understand why D is not the answer? D is not the answer because there's a grammatical error. You did not understand. Okay. There is a rule. Okay. There is a rule. What does this rule say? This rule says that when you use the word which, okay, before which there should be a comma, and whatever noun or pronoun comes before which, okay, this entire portion will describe. It will describe this noun or pronoun. So in our case, over here it is land, comma, which, and then what is the description? That it is kept as collateral. So is it just the land which is kept as collateral? No, there was farm equipment as well. Okay, farm equipment and land, both are kept as collateral. It's not just land that is kept as collateral. But right now, if I use in the present form, it seems that it is land that is kept as collateral. Okay, so this is wrong because it is excluding farm equipment. Okay, did you get this? Now this rule of which, I told you whenever there's which, we have to have a comma before it. And before the comma, whatever noun or pronoun comes, that will be described by the word which. That is the rule. Okay. Now, what is the exception to this rule? The exception to this rule is that when you use the word which and before the word which, if there is a preposition, Okay. If there is a preposition, then this rule does not apply. This rule does not apply means then you don't need a comma. Then whatever comes immediately before the which, that will not be described. But this happens when there's a preposition. For example, if I say the student, the class of which, the class of which I am talking, because before which there's a preposition of, that is why there is no comma, and whatever comes after which will not describe of. Did you get this? Did you understand this? Okay. So that is the reason. That is the reason why D is not right. That is the reason why D is not right. Okay. Now, why is E right? Because E is right because when I say farm equipment and land, I treat it as one entity. Farm equipment and land, these are the collateral. What are they? They are the collateral. They are the collateral against which. Now see, before the word which there's a preposition, against which farmers borrow. Now there is no error. Do you understand? Both farm equipment and land, they are one entity, and these are the collateral against which farmers borrow. Because before the word which we have a preposition, that is why there's no comma there. It's correct. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Right. Take care, all of you. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time. Good evening. Am I audible? Okay. So let us start with our next session on error correction. Again, we have 20 questions here, just like yesterday. We'll try to solve these 20 questions today. Let's start with 5 questions at a time. Okay. Take a look at question number 1 to question number 5. And when you are done, let me know. At the most 10 minutes. Start, please. Okay. I think we should check now. That is sufficient time. Right. Let's take a look at question number 1. While depressed property values can hurt some large investors, they are potentially devastating for homeowners whose equity, in many cases representing a life savings, can plunge or even disappear. So I think there is a disturbance. Is there a disturbance for everyone? Oh, it's fine now. Okay, right. So I think when we read this sentence, it's absolutely clear that they refers to depressed property values, who's refer to homeowners. Everything is all right. I don't find anything wrong here. So I think answer for this question is A. There is nothing wrong here. It is the homeowners whose equity can plunge or even disappear. Their equity, in many cases, it represents a life saving. So I think there is no error here in question number 1. That is why answer is A. Question number 2. If you have no doubts, I'll move to question number 2. Question number 2 says Japanese researchers are producing a series of robots that can identify human facial expressions to which they will then respond. Okay. Question is who are they? Who are they? They refers to researchers or does it refer to the robots? So this is one mistake over here. So this is a dangling modifier. There's a confusion whether they refers to researchers or they refers to robots. So Japanese researchers are producing a series of robots that can identify human facial expressions to which they will then respond. Their primary goal, again, there is who? Researchers or robots? Their goal is their goal is primarily okay. Their goal is primarily creating a robot that will empathize with us. So I think there's a pronoun error here. So there's a confusion in the pronoun. We are not sure whether the pronouns they and their are they being used for robots or are they being used for researchers. So we will have to write it in another way. We will have to write it in another way. I think the best way from the given options is C. The robots can identify human facial expressions and then respond to them. So who is going to respond? It's clear that it is a robot that will respond to the expressions. After that, there is a semicolon there. The researcher's primary goal. Now, whose goal is this? We know for certain it is the researchers. The researcher's primary goal is to create a robot that will empathize with us. Absolutely all right. Number C should be the answer for question number 2. Okay. Question number 3. If you have doubt, please stop me. Okay. Consumers may not think of household cleaning products to be hazardous substances. Okay. You think of something as, not to be. So that is one mistake over here. To be. Because the idiom is like this. You think of X as Y. Okay. Excuse me. So in this case, what is X? X is household cleaning products. So we may not think of household cleaning products as hazardous substances. So which means that it is wrong in the current form. You think of X as Y. In the current form, it is wrong. Many of them can be harmful to health, especially if they are used improperly. Okay. So now question is, which is going to be right? Number D. Number D. A consumer may not think of household cleaning products as hazardous substances, but many of them can be harmful to health, especially if they are used improperly. Yes, you think of X as Y, and I think that order is followed only in number D. That is why D is the answer for question number 3. Question number 4. In recent years, cattle breeders have increasingly used crossbreeding, in part that their steers should acquire certain characteristics. Passive voice. Passive voice is bad. In part that their steers should acquire certain characteristics. This is passive voice. We'll have to change this. It is wrong. And partly because crossbreeding is said to provide hybrid vigor. Okay. So there are two things that there are two reasons why cattle breeders have used crossbreeding. The first is so that the steers acquire certain characteristics, and the second is that it provides hybrid vigor. So now The first reason is the second reason is to provide hybrid vigor. So the first reason also will have to be to do something. It has to be in this form. Okay. So first reason is partly, I think E is the answer, partly to acquire certain characteristics in their steers, and partly blah 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 blah. Yes, all this is not important. Partly to provide hybrid vigor. So both after partly we have two, and in the same form it's parallel. I think E is the answer for question number 4. So there are two reasons. One reason is to acquire certain characteristics, and the second one is to provide hybrid vigor. Both the reasons, they are preceded by the preposition to, and that is why they are parallel. E should be the answer. Okay. Why D is not the answer? D is not the answer because it is written in the passive voice and not the active voice. Given a choice between passive voice and active voice, we should always select the option which is in the active voice. So number 4 answer is E. And number 5, let's see. Like Auden, the language of James Merrill is chatty. Now, how can I compare the language of a person? How can I compare it to a person? I will have to compare a person with a person. I'll have to compare language with a language, right? So I think we'll have to make a change. Um, so C should be the answer, yes. Like Auden, Auden's what? Auden's means language. Like Auden's, James Merrill's language is chatty, arch, and conversational, given to complex syntactic flights as well as to prosaic three-verse strolls. Strolls. Absolutely. Number C should be the answer for question number 5. Please check 1 to 5. Anybody has any doubt, please ask. Anything you did not understand. Are you? I mean, you should also understand why it is wrong or why it is right. That also you need to understand. Okay. If this is clear, then let's move to the next 5. Question number 6 to question number 10. Solve this and let me know when you are done. Start, please. Okay. Let's discuss question number 6 to 10. Question number 6. The Baldrick Manufacturing Company has for several years followed a policy aimed at. So the policy is aimed at number 1, decreasing operating costs, and number 2, improving the efficiency of its distribution system. Nothing wrong. The policy has two aims: decreasing operating costs and improving the efficiency of its distribution system. It is one company, that is why it is singular. I think there is nothing wrong. Answer is A. Number E. Okay. The Baldrick Manufacturing Company has for several years followed a policy with the aim to decrease operating costs and to improve the efficiency. Okay. But why do we need to unnecessarily change it? Why do we need to unnecessarily change it? Because okay, the problem is with the aim to. Uh, E is not wrong. No, it is wrong. With the aim to is also wrong. Okay, with the aim of, I think the correct form is with the aim of. You do something with the aim of. With the aim of. Even though we very commonly use with the aim to, actually it is we do something with the aim of. with the aim of decreasing, with the aim of increasing, with the aim of operating. So the problem over here is this word. It will be wrong. We do something with the aim of and not with the aim to. That is why number E is not right. Okay. Okay. Now remember these small things that we are discussing. You think of X as Y. Remember. Will you remember this? We discussed this. We don't think of something to be Y. We think of something as Y. Similarly, we do something with the aim of. We don't do something with the aim to. After the word aim, you should use the preposition of and not to. Okay? Yes, if you're using aimed, AIMED, if you're using aimed, then we say something is aimed at. Then it is correct. Okay. Number 7. Question number 7. Obtaining an investment grade rating will do what? Will keep the country's future borrowing costs low. It will protect its already tattered image, comma, and increase its ability to buy bond insurance. Again, it will do three things: keep, protect, and increase. Will is common for all of them. They're all parallel. Again, I don't think there is anything wrong. Everything is all right. Okay. Answer should be A. Did you understand this? Three things will happen. It will do three things: keep the country's costs low, protect the tattered image, and increase the ability to buy bond insurance. All these three things are parallel. The word will is common because it is used with just with the first one. That means it is common. So I think this is absolutely right. Then we come to question number 8. Question number 8 is saying eating saltwater fish may significantly reduce the risk of heart attacks and also aid for sufferers. And also aid sufferers. You don't say it also aid for sufferers. It can also aid sufferers. So this is wrong. Okay. It can also aid sufferers of rheumatoid arthritis. Aid to. Nahin. You provide aid to. If Nikita, if you want to use aid to, then you will have to use the word provide. You provide aid to somebody, but you aid someone. If you just want to use aid, then you aid a person like this. If you want to use to, then you will have to write provide. Provide aid to, then the person. So yes, it may significantly reduce the risk of heart attacks and aid sufferers of rheumatoid arthritis and asthma. Absolutely. Number C is the answer for question number 8. Okay. Then we come to question number 9. Number 9. According to some economists, the July decrease in unemployment so that it was the lowest in 2 years. Okay. So what he's trying to say that in the month of July, the unemployment reached the lowest level in the last 2 years. Okay. So the July decrease in unemployment so that it was the lowest in 2 years suggests that the gradual improvement in the job market is continuing. Okay. So you have marked C. The July decrease in unemployment to what would be the lowest in 2 years? No. To what would be the lowest in 2 years? Not really. The July decrease in unemployment, what would be lowest in 2 years? This is wrong. So the July decrease in unemployment is at the lowest level. Okay. It is at the lowest level. You need to use the word level. It was the lowest in 2 years. Okay. To a 2-year low level. Okay, you want to mark D. No, I don't think. I don't think D is right, because please understand there's a difference between low and lowest. Okay, there's a difference between low and lowest, because excuse me, because he used the word lowest here. I think I'll have to keep that word intact. It is a 2-year low level. Okay, 2 years में low हुआ है. That is the meaning of number D. But it does not signify that it is the lowest level. In all these 2 years, this level has never been reached. So it is important that we use the word lowest and not just low. I think number E is the answer. The July decrease in unemployment to the lowest level in 2 years. It is not just a 2-year low level, it is the lowest level in 2 years. So there is a difference. There is a difference between low and lowest. Okay? Because lowest, see what is happening over here. What are they testing you on? They are testing you on adjectives, comparison of adjectives. Whether you are going to use the comparative form or whether you are going to use the superlative form. Are you going to use the comparative form or are you going to use the superlative form? Because in these 2 years, there are 365 multiplied by 2 days. So there are so many days with which you are making comparison. So it has to be lowest. You have to use the superlative form. Okay. Whereas if you simply use the word low, it is just an adjective. It is the base form of the adjective. Base form of the adjective does not show any comparison. It does not show any comparison. That means you are just trying to say that 2 साल में ये low हुआ है. That's it. The meaning changes substantially. The meaning changes substantially. In number D, the meaning is that in 2 years it has become low. Whereas E says it is the lowest level in 2 years. So there's a huge difference in the meaning. And I believe you understand now what is the difference. Did you understand what is happening here? Okay. Did you get this? For example, when you look at adjectives, okay, adjectives have 3 forms. We all know adjectives have 3 forms. For example, we say low, lower, lowest, right? If you remember grammar class, I told you that the first form is called the base form of the adjective. When is the base form used? When no comparison is being shown. If I say my mango is sweet, I am merely mentioning about the quality of the mango. I am not comparing the sweetness of the mango with any other mango's sweetness. When you compare 2 things, you have to use the comparative form of the adjective. And when you compare more than 2 things, you have to use the superlative form of the adjective. Over here, low is the base form of the adjective. It is the base form of the adjective is only used when you want to talk about what? You just want to mention a quality without comparing that quality with somebody else, with something else. Because you are not comparing this level with any other level, so it does not give me the indication that it is the lowest level. That means the level has never been this low. That is why number D is not right. Answer for this question should be E. Okay. Now, Priyanka, you marked C. C में एक problem ये है that you are using the word would. Would is generally used for future. Okay. Would is generally used for future, but July में तो decrease हो चुका है ना? It's already passed. Okay. For the previous question you marked C. Okay. I will just come back to that. But question number 9, did you understand why E is the answer? All of you? Okay. Question number 8, you marked C. Okay. So go to C. Hai. Question number 8 is already C and you marked C. Very good. Question number 9, answer is E. And I hope this is clear now. And coming to question number 10, Thomas Eaton's powerful style and his choice of subject. Powerful style and his choice of subject. Okay. What was his choice of subjects? The advances in modern surgery, the discipline of sport, the strains of individuals in tension with society, even with themselves. Was. Was कैसे? Our subject is plural. These guys, style and choice of subject. So there are two things here. There are two things. These guys, style and choice of subject. Now I have given you examples of his choice of subject. All this is immaterial. Yes, all this is extra information about his choice of subject. They are modifiers. So we'll have to remove the modifier, which means that our subject is plural. I'm talking about the style and the choice of subject. So how can my verb be singular? It has to be were. Okay, it has to be were. Cannot be was. I think B is the answer. Were as disturbing to his own time as they are compelling for ours. Yes, number B is the answer for question number 10. Absolutely, Nikita, you mark B. Please take a look. Question 6 to 10. Anybody has any issue? Or for that matter, question 1 to 10. Any question you have any issue, please ask. Okay, if no query, then let's come to 11 to 15. Question number 11 to 15, solve it and let me know when you're done. Okay, if everybody is done, then let's check. Right. Question number 11. Question number 11. What is it saying? Nearly 2 tons of nuclear reactor fuel have already been put into orbit around the Earth, and the chances of a collision involving such material increase greatly as the amount of both space debris and satellites continue to rise. Is there anything wrong? Yes. What is wrong? He's using amount. Amount of both space debris and satellites continue to rise. Now, when do we use amount? We use the word amount with things that are uncountable. Yes, space debris is uncountable, so I can use amount. But satellites are countable. I can count the satellites. So whenever something is countable, then the adjective that I'll have to use is number. Okay, it is used for countable things. So I cannot use the word amount for both space debris and satellites. It is going to be wrong. Yes, answer for this question should be increase greatly as the amount of space debris and number of satellites continue to rise. Yes, number C is right for question number 11. Okay, question number 12. Like Rousseau, Tolstoy, now it's absolutely right. I'm comparing person with a person. So like Rousseau, this person Tolstoy, like this person, another person, rebelled against the natural complexity of human relations in modern society. So there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong, as is wrong in E. Tolstoy's rebellion as Rousseau's. Yes, as is wrong. I told you that the difference between as and like, remember? When we compare nouns, we use like. When we compare clauses, we use as. Okay, what are clauses? When we compare one part of the sentence, we compare it with another part of a sentence, then we will use as. But when we compare nouns, when we compare things, when we compare people, then we'll have to use like. This is the difference between as and like. Over here, it cannot be as. Tolstoy's rebellion like Rousseau. Okay. Question number 13. The Wallerstein study indicates that even after a decade, young men and women still experience some of the effects of a divorce occurring when a child. That means what he's trying to say is that these young men and women, they still experience some of the effects of the divorce that had happened when they were children, isn't it? When these when these men and women were children, that occurred when they were children. Yes, absolutely. Number D is the right answer for question number 13. D is the right answer. Okay. Then we're coming to next 14. Lacking information about energy use. People tend to overestimate the amount of energy used by equipment such as lights that are visible, equipment such as lights that are visible and must be turned on and off, and underestimate that. Okay, just a minute. We overestimate equipment, blah 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 blah, and overestimate x, overestimate y. X and y have to be parallel. Okay, x and y have to be parallel. X and y have to be parallel. What is y? Y is unobtrusive equipment. Equipment that is unobtrusive. What is x? Equipment. Okay, so equipment and unobtrusive equipment are not parallel. Unobtrusive equipment. So the answer for the X equipment is giving you examples of lights that are visible. That means these are equipment which are obtrusive. That means visible. We need, yes, our answer is either going to be D or E. Our answer is either going to be D or E, because I'm comparing two kinds of equipments. These two equipments have to be same. They have to be in the same form. They have to be parallel. One of the equipment is unobtrusive equipment. The other one also has to be some kind of an equipment. So that equipment is visible. So I think he should have used by the energy used by visible equipment, such as lights, that must be turned on and off. And we underestimate the energy used by unobtrusive equipment, such as heaters. Okay. I think D is the answer. D, not E. E is not right. We understand, please see this. Underestimate it when. If we underestimate it, then with overestimate also. With overestimate also, I should use overestimate it. Overestimate it when we use visible equipment, and we underestimate it when we use unobtrusive equipment. So it is not going to be parallel. I think number E is not right. D should be the answer for question number 14. Okay. Okay. 15. The rise in the Commerce Department's index of leading economic indicators suggests, suggests, because our subject is the rise, singular. यही mistake है, that means A and B gone. So the rise, what does the rise suggest? The rise suggests that the economy should continue its expansion into the coming months, okay, but that the mixed performance of the index's individual components indicates that economic growth will proceed. Okay, so two things will happen. This will happen, but that will not happen, because in the second one he has used will. I think we will also have to use will. Okay, economic indicators. The rise suggests that the country will continue to expand in the coming months. Yes, but the mixed performance indicates that economic growth will proceed at a more moderate pace. Absolutely, number E should be the answer. Number E should be the answer for question number 15. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, now let's come to our last 5 questions from 16 to 20. Take a look. If you have any doubt, please ask. Start, please, and let me know when you're done. Okay, if you're done, then let's check the last 5 questions. Number 16. Question number 16. Polio, although it is eradicated in the United States, यहीं पे गलत हो गया, because when we already have a subject, we don't have to introduce the subject again. Polio, although eradicated in the United States, would have been better. Okay, otherwise there is redundancy. So this is wrong. Polio, although it is eradicated in the United States, it continues elsewhere and is able to be brought into the country by visitors. The fact that even though it is eradicated in the US, because it continues elsewhere, that is why it is absolutely possible that tomorrow it can come back into the country because of in the form of visitors, or it can be brought by visitors. So answer for this question should be E. Although eradicated in the United States, polio. Now this information, this modifier is for polio. Although eradicated in the US, polio continues elsewhere. And because it continues elsewhere, there is a possibility that it could be brought into the country by visitors. Answer should be E. If you look at number C reverses the order. Although it is continuing elsewhere, polio has been eradicated in the US and could be. Now it seems that because polio has been eradicated in the US, that is why it could be brought into the country by visitors. So that line of reasoning will be wrong. It is because it continues elsewhere that there is a possibility it can come back to the US through visitors. That is why E should be the answer for question number 16. Question number 17. If this is clear, let's come to 17. Some buildings that were destroyed and heavily damaged, in the earthquake last year were constructed in violation of the city's building code. Verb galat hai, because two things happened in the past. Last year there was an earthquake. Okay, before the earthquake this building was constructed. So in the past something happened, and before that something else happened. Okay, so two things happened in the past, one before the other. So we will have to use the past perfect tense. Past perfect, right? So were is not possible. Were is not possible because were is the simple past. Because two things: first, last year earthquake happened, and before that the building had been constructed, right? So, which means that we'll have to use past perfect. So were to ho nahi sakta, that is one mistake. Second problem is that some buildings, either they will be destroyed or they will be heavily damaged. How can they be destroyed and heavily damaged both? It's not possible. Either they will be destroyed or they will be heavily damaged. So the use of this conjunction and also is wrong. Okay. So what is going to be the answer? Some buildings that were destroyed or heavily damaged in the earthquake last year had been, yes, had been, absolutely. Why we are using had been? Because the construction happened before the earthquake, and earthquake was in the past. So there were two events in the past. Past se bhi past, so I'll have to use past perfect. Had been, absolutely. Answer is B. Okay, answer is B. Okay, number E is not right. Last year, some of the buildings that were destroyed or heavily damaged in the earthquake had been constructed. Okay, last year, some of the buildings, the earthquake happened last year. Remember, what happened last year? It was the earthquake that happened last year. Because of the earthquake, there was destruction. So over here, if you put last year before the buildings, if, I mean, what you've done is that you are trying to in the present form. It seems that last year the buildings were destroyed or heavily damaged. But the main aim of this sentence was to tell you that the earthquake happened last year. If I put last year over here, then I don't get the I mean, it does not indicate that earthquake happened last year. It seems that the destruction happened last year. This modifier last year is for the earthquake, and because I have placed it very far from the earthquake, so it seems that the destruction happened last year. Okay, the earthquake happened last year, and because of that there was destruction. So that can get confusing. That is why E is not as good as B. For 17, I think the answer is B. For question number 18, a study commissioned by the Department of Agriculture showed, what did it show? That if, now over here we have if, the moment we have if conditionals, then what happens? Then the rules change. If calves exercise, simple present. Okay, अगर if में simple present है, if it is simple present, if the tense is simple present, then what will happen? Then all of them will be simple present. So if calves exercise and associated ho nahi sakta, it should be associate with other calves, then what will happen? They will require, again this is simple present, exercise is also simple present. They will require less medication and gain weight quicker, quicker, gain weight quicker. Quicker is adjective. Okay, so gain weight is the verb, and how can an adjective modify the verb? I need an adverb. I need an adverb, which means I need quickly. Quicker to ho nahi sakta because quicker is uh, adjective. Okay, I need an adverb because gaining weight is a verb, and to modify the verb, I need an adverb. Adjectives cannot modify verbs, so that means the word quicker is also wrong. And gain weight more quickly than uh, than those who are raised in confinement. I think that should be the answer. So all of them have to be same simple present. Simple present कहाँ पर है? Associate, okay, here also. Have required wrong, will gain weight wrong, associate they will require, okay, associate require and gain weight more quickly. Yes, E is the answer. E is the right answer for question number 18. 18. E is the right answer. Yeah. Okay. Did you understand why? All of you? Anybody has any doubt here? Okay. Now let's come to number 19. If this is clear, let's come to 19. A recent study has found that within the past few years, okay, within the past few years, it has started in the past, it has started in the past, and it is in all probability continuing in the present. Continuing in the present, which means I have to use present perfect. Present perfect tense. Okay. Because within the past few years, a recent study has found that within the past few years, many doctors had elected, not possible, have elected hona chahiye. Had is past perfect, is not possible. This is something which is happening for the past few years. So they have elected early retirement rather than face. They have elected this verb rather than face this verb, not parallel, rather than face the threats of lawsuits and the rising costs of malpractice insurance. So the verbs are not parallel, and there's a problem with the verb tense also. It is something that is happening for the past few years. Okay, when I say within the past few years, मतलब अभी भी हो रहा है. It is happening right now also, and it has happened for the past few years also, right? So I have to use present perfect. Have. I'll have to use the word have and not had, which means A and B cannot be the answer. Many doctors have elected retiring. Now, when we use the present perfect, we cannot use the ing form. We should not use the ing form. We should use the infinitive form. So have elected to retire early rather than face. This two is common, retire and face. I think E is the answer. Many doctors have elected to retire early rather than face the threats of lawsuits. Yes, answer should be E. Answer should be E. Why the answer cannot be C? Because with the present perfect tense, we generally don't use the ing form. Present perfect. Okay. So C cannot be the answer. Number D, what is happening is over here I'm using the infinitive and over here I'm using the gerund. It does not match. It will have to be parallel. Both of them will have to be parallel. So that is why D is also not right. Answer for question number 19 should be E. Is this clear? All of you? Okay. Coming to question number 20. The Gorton Dot Bill requires that a bank disclose to their customers, wrong, to its customers, how long they, it is a bank, how long it, so again this is wrong, how long it will delay access to funds from deposited checks. Because it is a bank, that is Why it we cannot have there and they. This is wrong. So we'll have to check which one is which one makes sense. The Gordon dot bill requires that see requires that a bank disclose to its customers how long it will delay access to funds from deposited checks. Disclose. The requirement is to disclose that a banks disclose to customers how long access to funds from the deposited check is to be delayed. No, no. Please understand, Nikita. No, you are actually confusing this. You probably believe that because it is a bank, okay, it is singular. That is why I have to use a singular verb, discloses. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay. Now see क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पर? No, it should be disclosed. Why? Because it is a requirement. Requirement means what is the mood? Subjunctive mood. Okay. You know what is subjunctive mood? What happens in the subjunctive mood? In the subjunctive mood, if there is any order, if there is any wish. Oh, you don't know what is the subjunctive mood? I think we discussed this in verb tenses. You were not there in the session. In the subjunctive mood, what happens is that whenever you are using sentences, okay, whenever we are using sentences in which we want to give an order, we want to make a request, or when we want to express any wish, then the subject verb agreement rules do not apply. Okay. For example, the subject verb agreement rules do not apply. I think you should read about the subjunctive mood. ये जरूर पढ़ना चाहिए. Okay. The subjunctive mood. I think now you can just search Google, or you can take a look at subject verb agreement lesson, the video. Okay. Subject verb agreement. So, what is the subjunctive mood in sentences where we want to give any command? Okay, we want to give any command, we want to make any request. Okay, if you want to give any kind of command request, if you want to make any kind of wish, if we want to express some desire, if you want to talk about a hypothetical situation, something that is hypothetical, when we do all these kind of things, then what happens is that the verb is always plural. Okay, then verb is always plural. Remember that. It is always plural irrespective of the subject. Okay. For example, आपने सुना होगा ना? You must have heard long live the king. I should have said long lives the king. The king singular है ना? But why do I say long live the king? Because it is my wish. It is my desire. Long live the king. I wish I wish you were here. Why did I use were? I wish you were here. I wish you was here is wrong. Okay? Hypothetical situation. The king demands that that the prisoner speak the truth. Absolutely. Absolutely. Command, demand, order. Okay. I wish you were here. Okay. If if I were the prime minister, if I were the prime minister of India. Okay, I singular were. Hypothetical, na? If I were the Prime Minister of India. So whenever there is any command, request, wish, desire, something hypothetical, something that you cannot change, okay, then it is said to be in the subjunctive mood. तो फिर वो subjunctive mood होता है, and in the subjunctive mood the verb is always plural. Okay, now see what is happening over here. Because it is a requirement, it is a requirement. The dot bill requires. It is a requirement. It is an order. Because it is an order, that is why we have to use this clause. Okay, did you understand? Okay, number B. The gotten dot bill requires a bank to disclose to their customers who are there. This pronoun is wrong because किसके customers हैं? A bank. और a bank is singular. ये तो मैंने पहले ही बता दिया था. This is wrong. Their customers तो हो ही नहीं सकता. How they? There and they, it's wrong because it is the requirement of a bank. हर बैंक को अपने customers को बताना होगा. Its customers, right? Because it is singular, a bank. That is why we cannot have their customers and how long they will delay. That is going to be wrong. Okay. So anything else that comes to your mind? Anything that is not clear? Please ask. Okay. So I think a lot of other, if you want to practice, even though there is not much time left, but if you want to practice, a lot of practice material is available online. And this much is sufficient. If 40 questions are sufficient, they would give you an idea. Tomorrow morning, do we have a class? I don't think so. Did Nitin sir say something? We don't have an English class. Okay. So no, tomorrow I think there is no session. Okay. Okay. And whenever the next session is scheduled, we will let you know. Right. So that's it for today. Take care. Good night, all of you. And see you. Take care.
Music